In the revised edition of The Case for Trump, you write, never has a president been so opposed by the establishment of his own party, so hated by his political opposition, so undermined by the bipartisan Washington elite, so sabotaged by the administrative state, and so feared by the billionaire class. What are these elites so afraid of? Is it really legitimate to claim that he's a genuine threat to them, in your view?
Yeah, I think part of it is there was a little bit with Ross Perot, but when you have a candidate who has no political loyalties or ties or IOUs and comes in and was elected, they were successful the first time because he had no constituency in the Republican. All the people that you draw on, if you're George Bush or George H.W. Bush or any Republican, were not willing to work with him. The Democrats opposed him and they thought he was satanic. Then he was out of office. Now when he comes back in, they feel that he has no loyalties to the administrative state. So if you say to Donald Trump, here's the argument why the Department of Education is malicious, it's indoctrinating our kids, it will not implement civic education, and you say we need to eliminate it and go back to the period when we didn't have, he would say, fine, let's do it. If you say to Donald Trump, Department of Energy is not needed, we never had it before, all we need to do is allow people within the system to pump gas and oil, then we could be not only more, we could be completely self-sufficient, which we are almost now, but we could help Europe out in their ordeal with having their natural gas cut. He would say, do it. And so that's what scares them, that he doesn't call up somebody and say, we served in the Senate, or, you gave this or that. He has no pedigree, no history. And the other problem with him, they see, is that he has no filter. So he says things that are often, they have no problem that they're honest. They're just crude and cruel, they feel, because they don't. I'll give you an example of how they define cruelty. If Donald Trump flies in to the Carolinas and said, this is a disgrace, these people are starving, they're not getting food and water, they don't have any, we got to get Elon in here to give them Starlink, they don't have any, the government, it's that moron. That is crude and cruel. But what they're doing is not crude and cruel, because they are credentialed and they speak of particular bureaucraties, and if they're lax, that's just the way it is. And so, he says things that he looks at Ukraine. Most Americans want to help the Ukrainians defend their territory from an unprovoked aggression. But Donald Trump comes in and says there's been 1 million people dead or wounded, and it's deadlocked. It's like World War I. And we've spent $170 billion, and there's got to be a way to stop the bloodletting. Let's not fight this war to the last Ukrainian. Maybe I can cut a deal with Putin. Well, nobody talks like that in diplomatic circles. They would say, this is a very complex situation, and we have to act sober and judiciously, and we're going to use all diplomatic efforts. But he just says stuff like that. And I think most people privately think, well, he's right, that Trump and Biden and Obama never thought they could get back the Donbass and Crimea after Putin stole them. And, they don't think really you should put Ukraine in NATO. And there probably needs to be a demilitarized zone, and then maybe push Putin back to where he was in February 2022. And that's probably what's going to happen. And maybe that way we won't lose another 1 million dead or wounded or missing. And that's where everybody is. But you don't say that, is what I'm trying to get at, like he does. And you don't say it in the way that he does.